Good morning. I am on very little sleep because I was an idiot and watched a show that a lot of people had talked about, and I had meant to do a video, and I thought I did a video, and I went to edit said video and realized I did not film it. So we're gonna talk about me watching Sexy Beasts. I am so sorry. Okay, so a while back, I tweeted about watching Sexy Beasts, and I was gonna record my response to it, and I forgot, so here you go. To prepare for this video, I rewatched Sexy Beasts to make sure I hadn't missed anything. I regret that, but here we are. So, for those who don't really know what the hell Sexy Beasts is, it's a show based, at least in filming, in London from the season I've seen. Not all the contestants are from there, but that's where it's filmed. And the premise is trying to figure out if love is truly blind. But as someone that doesn't need this kind of show because your girl already got that shit on lock with a wonderful human being who I am very excited to marry, this isn't a show I would ever put myself on. Even if I was single, let's be real. For starters, let's go over some things that Sexy Beast does well, to be nice. So I will say the prosthetic work and special effects work is actually pretty decent if you look at it. Yes, some of it is nightmare fuel, but some of it's actually quite good. Given what they had to work with, some of it just looks really good, and some of it looks like they were actively punishing contestants for even being on the damn show. So it's kind of like Masked Singer. Some of it's really great, some of it will stay in my nightmares for the rest of my natural lifespan. You get what you don't pay for by watching it on Netflix, I guess. My Netflix subscription is too high for me to have sat through this show. So some things that stood out to me, and I'm just gonna list these in no particular order of how I reacted, was the first thing I noticed was that the narrator was odd, chose really weird comments to make on contestants, and in one episode got into like really weird foot fetish territory, which, okay, I guess we're doing that. Alright then. So that was weird and a little uncomfortable. Somehow more uncomfortable than the occasionally nightmare-inducing prosthetics. And another thing I started to notice with the show is that it seems like every single contestant was a model and something else. So there were very few not conventionally attractive people. I think that's the nicest way to put it. It seemed like they just did a model casting for this. I don't know if any of these people are actually dating IRL now. I kind of want to fact check it because it seems like they just hired a bunch of models to act out what they thought dating was. There were some highlights. I do really enjoy watching the transformation of coming out of special effects makeup to what the person actually looks like. That transition was kind of interesting and fun to watch. And some of the dates that these people went on, like, I actually would like to go on some of those dates, throwing axes and stuff and making gin. That sounds fun to me personally. But where the discomfort came in was just some of the editing choices that were made in terms of what was put on the show. Let me explain. In most TV shows, you're not getting the full story of everybody on it. There are villain edits and like different kinds of ways they can portray people by chopping up what they've said to fit a narrative. Like, I get that. I get it. Unless they fed these people the cringiest lines they could think of, which I know sometimes people are fed lines to fit narratives, but unless they just fed them every line they spoke, there were some people on this show that made me so uncomfortable. I'm gonna call out a couple now. So one of the people called out was the rhino, and I mean, the prosthetic, fine, whatever, but one of the catchphrases or lines that he utters is like sexual karate or something. Like, what the fuck? And through the whole episode, the lines they chose to include just makes him seem like the biggest creep on the planet. And look, I don't know any of the people on this show. I've never met them in real life. Like, I'm basing this solely on what the producers thought would be good to show to the general public. And what they decided to show makes him look so fucking creepy and just bleh. They had a panda that just wanted to have babies as soon as humanly possible, which was terrifying because I'm afraid of having children. Like, pregnancy is my biggest fear. I would and just the aggressiveness with which she approaches the subject, asking one of the contestants if they have health insurance because they want to make babies, is just like, oh my god, what the fuck? What am I watching? They also had the beaver, who seems wholesome and lovely and like just a nice guy. And then they decided the line they were gonna leave in for him was ass first, personality second, which if that's not the shallowest, stupidest shit, I don't know what is. Just yikes, bro. Keep it in your pants. Dear God. They also had a party boy, who I guess they dressed as some bug thing, who is just like, the party don't stop, but someday the party's gotta stop because, I'm getting older. And I'm just like, oh my fucking God. Where did you find these people? What the hell did you put in the audition? Because I'm still not convinced these are actually single people. I feel like these have to be like model/actors that they fit for roles. There's no way these people are like actually single and trying to find dates. They're just here for TV. That has to be the only explanation. Why the fuck would you put yourself through this for that? There were also just some really unfortunate edits where I'm sure the person that they had in there was a really interesting person, but they just somehow made them so boring. Just so boring. It's like, one was like a zombie lady who seemed genuinely interesting, but the way they cut her dialogue just made her seem like the most single-handedly boring person on the planet, and her prosthetics were just gross. Like, I know it's supposed to be like, we're not looking at your looks, like love without seeing the other person's face, blind love, or whatever the fuck they were going for. But dressing someone as like a zombie, a witch, a troll, I think? I know you're not supposed to judge on looks, but some part of me has to believe that they had some kind of vendetta against these people because the makeup they put on them just makes them look hideous. And I know you're not supposed to judge based on that, but like, how can you not? How can you not? Some of these are horrifying. Like, no. There was also a couple of Uncanny Valley makeups done. One of the ones that stands out is the dolphin. It's just something about it creeped me out a lot. That episode was really hard to watch. Just so hard to watch. They also have this very goofy mansion with like all the portraits on the wall of like the people who participated, and the portraits are not any less unsettling than the people themselves in the makeup, and like, that is no knock on the makeup department. If the goal was to make them look nothing like themselves, y'all nailed it. Like, knocked it out of the park. If the goal was to make them in any way approachably attractive enough to not be freaked out, did not nail that part. You can see people in episodes seeing these makeups out in public, mind you, and just being like, the fuck? Because, I mean, granted, I'm a furry. I have seen toonie suits, realistic suits, skull suits, use your own eye suits that some people do find creepy, but I think are, just fine. And even with the most gore-related use your own eye suit that's meant to be macabre and dark, I've never been as creeped out looking at one of those as I have with the fucking dolphin. That hits some weird uncanny valley spot in my mind where I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that one. And I have to imagine a lot of people watching this show had the exact same reaction. So one of the questions I was asked by my non-furry friends is this kind of a show that furries would like? And that's complicated. Let me break that down for you a little bit. So would furries like this show simply based on the fact that they have some animal anthropomorphic makeups? No. No. Fursuits and whatever this is are not the same. I'm not saying that some of these didn't come close to what a use your own eye suit would look like. There were a couple that weren't bad. This is one that comes to mind. It was fine. It was fine. It wasn't the worst. It actually looked kind of cute. Okay. But in terms of like, is this a thing that like furries be like, oh wow, look at all these hot, sexy beasts? No. Not to mention that all of the couples were heterosexual, which I don't know if you know how our fandom swings, but it ain't that. We tend to swing a little farther on the rainbow than your usual vanilla hetero stuff. So if you're asking would most furries, no, absolutely not. However, would most furries like this as like a hate binge, which is what I watched it as, or furries that love trashy TV love this? My God, yes. The answer to that is 100% yes. I live for the trashiest shows I can find. It's kind of like, you know when you're depressed and you eat ice cream? I don't, because I'm lactose intolerant. But you know, like if you're not, you know how you're like sad and you need like something not super healthy to binge on? For most people, that's ice cream. For me, because I'm lactose intolerant, it's shitty TV shows, like the worst gutter trash I can find. And if it's not goofy ghost shows, it's dating shows that have a twist, but the twist is just so unbelievably stupid. And this hit the perfect mix of trashy, cringy, and somehow really entertaining. I know for a fact that half the people were probably wildly misrepresented in the way that their lines were cut. I know that probably none of them are actually single people looking for a date. They're probably all actors being fed lines. And yet, I loved it. I feel so bad saying it. I loved it because it was so bad that I couldn't stop watching. It's like watching a train wreck. You know it's bad. You shouldn't stare blankly at it, but I could not pry my eyes off of it. It was the weirdest thing I have ever seen that kept me engaged. It's like the TV equivalent of doing an illicit substance. I felt like I was just high on cringe and trash. And at the time I wasn't feeling great. I was kind of sad. And so this was my eat a pint of ice cream. My pint of ice cream was the full season of Sexy Beasts. And on the upside, it was 0 carbs. On the downside, it was so cringy. I could just feel myself doing this with my hands while watching, like, ooh, oh God, but I couldn't stop watching it because it was just so trashy. So yeah, that was my experience watching Sexy Beasts. I realized I tweeted about it and never made a video. If you want to subject yourself to a car crash of cringe that just keeps on chugging, you know what? Watch it. You will have some nightmares because some of the makeup is like that, but they also just have really funny, unbelievably cringy moments. And if you're looking for fun date ideas, they also have like some pretty good ideas for that. While watching like a demon lady and I think it was a baboon, I have no idea what makeup they were going for. Just have a fun day riding roller coasters. I was like, actually, I kind of want to do that. That looks really fun. Or watching an alien, and I genuinely don't know what the other person was dressed as. It was a mess. Throwing axes or going bowling or making little ice hearts. Yo, I'm fucking stacked for date ideas for the entire rest of my year. Am I gonna be doing it in fursuit? Oh my God, no, I would not want to put my partner through that. Jesus. But now I've got some ideas I can use. So that's cool. But yeah, if you've watched Sexy Beasts, let me know in the comments. I would love to know what you thought of it because I had some mixed emotions but came out actually liking it. So what did you think? Let me know down below and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.